A video of Michael Bloomberg went viral on Twitter this weekend. I don't know what year this is from. I don't know what kind of event he's at, but he appears to be in somebody's living room, and he's talking about healthcare. Look at what he says about treating the elderly.
What things they can fix right away. If you're bleeding, they'll stop the bleeding. If you need an X-ray, you're going to have to wait. That's just... And all of these costs keep going up. Nobody wants to pay any more money. And at the rate we're going, healthcare is going to bankrupt us. So not only do we have a problem, it's going to bankrupt us. And we've got to sit here and say which things we're going to do and which things we're not. Nobody wants to do that. If you show up with prostate cancer and you're 95 years old, we should say, go and enjoy, have an ice cream, lead a long life. There's no cure. And you can't do anything. If you're a young person, we should do something about it. Society's not willing to do that yet. So we're going to bankrupt us, and we're not looking at...
I wonder if Michael Bloomberg would feel that way if it was him that had cancer and he was 95 years old. Would he say, you know what, I've had a good one, just let it rock? He might. I mean, I know there are some people who decide if they're old enough and the cancer's too advanced, okay, what am I going to do? But... yeah, as a general rule, anybody who wants to try to fight it, they can fight it because it's healthcare and because people want to live. There are exceptions, but, for him to say, and by the way, remember, he was mayor of New York City. He wants to be president of the United States of America. And he's saying, hey, man, healthcare is going to bankrupt us. So as a result of that, we got to get serious. And the way to get serious is deny healthcare to old people. No, how about that? So, guys, how many times have I, talked about this before, but we spent $7 trillion in Iraq when all is said and done, when you include the interest and you extrapolate to 2053. $7 trillion. We've already spent a couple trillion. In Afghanistan, $2 trillion. So, we're talking about $9 trillion right there. Haven't even brought up the multi-trillion-dollar Wall Street bailout. Every single year, we do giant subsidies to the oil industry. The list goes on of the ways that we waste money and spend on things that we shouldn't be spending on. But the only time where these conversations happen, where a belt tightening and we got to look out for the deficit and all that stuff and it's going to bankrupt us, is Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. So healthcare and payment to our elderly people. That's the only time where they talk about, we can't afford it. Oh my God, we got to tighten our belts. Oh my God, this is unsustainable. And I'm sick of it. Because those are the actual moral necessities. It's a moral necessity to have something like Social Security because yes, but before we had that implemented during the Great Depression, like 50% of our elderly were living in poverty. Now, after years and years of Social Security, that's all the way down to 10%. Now, it should be 0, but something like that is a moral necessity. I definitely say in a civilized society, we take something like that off the table. We say, hey, man, they used to have this conversation all the time during the 2000 presidential debate where Al Gore and George W. Bush would argue over putting Social Security in a lockbox, as they called it. So in other words, never cut it, don't touch it. Now, George W. Bush went on to try to cut Social Security, so he was lying when he said, I want to put it in a lockbox, but it should actually be in a lockbox, and if anything, we should be expanding it like Bernie Sanders talks about on a regular basis. But look at how Michael Bloomberg callously, nonchalantly discusses healthcare for older people. Well, you're old, so there's nothing we can do. What? No. Anybody who wants to fight it should have the right to fight it. When we talk about rationing care, every country, every government, every healthcare system rations care. It's a question of what are your standards? How do you ration care? And the systems that make sense, in my opinion, ration based off of need. Whoever needs the care gets it ASAP. We don't do that here in this country. We do a wallet biopsy in this country. And we say, okay, well, if you're wealthy, you can, hop the line and all that stuff. But what he's talking about here goes far beyond A wallet biopsy goes far beyond rationing based on need. This is just an authoritarian oligarch who wants to decide who gets to live and die based on his own whims and based on what he thinks. I'm not very interested in what you think, Michael Bloomberg. I'm not interested in what you think. I'm interested in what the individual thinks, and I'm interested in what the doctors think. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm interested in. I mean, again, if this was Michael Bloomberg himself or a family member of his, he absolutely would pump the brakes and say, whoa, 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 no, we're going to do everything we can to fight this. But when it's one of the peasants, whatever, you're old, you had a good life, time to move along, son. As somebody with a father who passed away from cancer, the thought that some government bureaucrat would step in, somebody like Michael Bloomberg steps in and says, I'm deciding to not do anything, to not allow anything to continue in terms of treatment. You have any idea how much that would infuriate me? How much that would infuriate anybody with a functioning brain? So, I totally disagree with him here. You know, the only type of rationing that makes sense is rationing based on need. But if you want to fight it, you obviously should be able to fight it. And Michael Bloomberg shouldn't be able to override you on that front. But this is right in line with his philosophy of authoritarianism. That's what he is. I mean, that's why you get, the soda ban, for example. I think he banned smoking on public beaches in New York City. It's a giant fucking ashtray that you're on, and he banned smoking there outside. A lot of his decisions come back to rank authoritarianism. Hey, I want to micromanage. I want to control everything. And this is another example of it right here.